What does success look like to me? What am I driving towards? And those things are very personal. It's amazing what you can accomplish when there's trust in the room. And when you remove that trust, it's remarkable how inefficient you can become.
And when you've got guys around you who are buying into your vision and pushing towards the same thing, it's energizing. All right, well, welcome to the Forge Contractor Alliance podcast. My name is Josh Eisworth. I'm here with my good friend Joel Berg, and yeah, we're just here talking about business and what's going on in our day-to-day life. And so, yeah, here we go.
Yeah, it's I love this. Some people think of these kinds of things as almost like work, and I'm like, no, this is fun. This is
fun.
Especially for me being a verbal processor. I think sitting down with other guys who are in a similar space, thinking about similar things, or even just people who are willing to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
They don't even have to be in a similar space. Sometimes it's actually really important that you're not in a similar space. Just sharpens things for me.
Yeah.
And so even today we were talking about like potential themes for our conversation, and we landed on distractions as a core theme. It wasn't because I've got like a bunch of brilliant things to share about distractions, but it's actually a critical thing that I'm processing.
Yeah. Something you want to work through in your day to day.
Yeah. And I know that if I do something like this, if I have a conversation with other trusted people who are growing and thoughtful, then I'm going to grow and get better at those kinds of things. And so I'm like, that's part of why I want to have this conversation, is not because that's a thing that's in my past that I've fully overcome. Like I've definitely grown in that area, but it's like present in front of me, something I want to tackle. And I know it's important.
Yeah. No, I know for me, like every time I do one of these recordings for these podcasts, it's like I leave the booth just feeling like, I've learned something, I've talked something through, or if nothing else, I've at least vented and gotten something off my chest, which sometimes we need to do that too. And
yeah, and I was thinking one of the core things that I was thinking about in relation to this over the last couple of days was like thinking about, okay, like what are the sources of distractions? How do we overcome them? What are things that make a difference in dealing with that in our lives? And one of the things that rose to the top in terms of helping deal with distractions that I arrived at was thinking about actually just having really clear goals.
Yeah. Like
the clearer your trajectory is, like if you know where you're going, you know what you want to accomplish, and you know why it's important, and all of those things, like if that's clear in your mind, then setting other stuff aside becomes so much easier.
Mm-hmm. So for clarification, like distractions is a pretty broad term. So when I hear the word distraction, the first thing I think of is, my phone, YouTube, Instagram. I won't even go near TikTok because that would consume my life. But what type? So when we're talking about distractions here, are we talking about like the work distractions that are showing up in our work days that are preventing us from moving forward?
Yeah, like my personal philosophy is you can't really separate work from the rest of life. Like I think as human beings, we're integrated. We're whole beings. We're not like I don't really have my work life and my home life. What happens at work does affect what's happening at home, and vice versa.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because it's all connected to who am I as a person, and who am I becoming? And I think distractions hit us in every context. Like you could be on vacation and have distractions.
Yeah.
Work being that common distraction.
Yep.
And so for me, I think of distractions as being anything that takes you off course. And so that goes back to the goals thing. If you don't have a clear course, how do you decide what's a distraction and what's not?
Oh, that's good.
Like some things are really obvious. It's like, this is obviously going nowhere. Okay, that's a distraction. But the clearer your aim, the more obvious it is if something lines up with that or not. And so I think one of the biggest barriers to overcoming distractions is not having a clear aim.
Yep.
If you don't have a goal for this week, you don't have an aim for the year, if you don't have an idea of who you want to become, then really anything goes. And that's a dangerous place to be.
So, question for you in that then. How do you set that marker? Like, how do you know what you're working towards?
Yeah, I feel like I never really land there. Like throughout a year, throughout a month, throughout even a week, I will have some really clear goals. Like for us as a business, we set a revenue target for the year.
Yep.
We set some specific project targets. We want to land this kind of project of at least this size and those kinds of things. And so that was actually, we wrote it down. It was like, there's no question about the clarity of those things.
Yeah.
But there's other things that are just part of my role as a business leader in developing our team and figuring out how we're going to optimize some of our systems and processes and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
That's all part of my job too. And I don't have clearly defined goals around all of that stuff. Like, so that there's always some ebb and flow, at least for me, in like this, I know I'm going after this and I can tell what lines up or doesn't line up with that. But then life's complex. There's lots of different things. And, but I think big picture, there's a real importance to setting some really clear goals, like for the year.
Yeah.
Say this is, and even if they change, like I just finished going through this audiobook, Be Your Future Self Now, which I know you've appreciated.
It's a good one.
And one of the things he talks about is the importance of setting goals, but then as you grow and develop, as you pursue those goals, your future self, like if I set a revenue target for a year from now, and I start moving towards that, 3 months from now, I'm going to have learned things. I'm going to have seen things. I'm going to have hit opportunities or barriers or things that I don't see now that are going to change maybe that goal.
Yeah.
I may realize, actually, when we set that goal, it was possible because we saw these opportunities, but now the government changed the regulations. And so we can't do those projects anymore. And so we change our goal. Or we may make it 5 times bigger, and that's okay. But I think if you don't have any goal, then you're this ship that's being tossed back and forth, and you're lost.
Yeah, you need metrics. I was doing a little bit of, when you told me you were talking about distractions, I kind of started like, oh, that's so broad of a topic. And I was just like you said, I'm like, if you're talking about business, almost everything can be a distraction. Your work in your business can be a distraction on your overall goals. And I kind of landed on a concept. I'll run it by you. Because to me, actually, I just had a meeting before we sat down here with my ownership group because I was like, we need to implement this. Yeah. And it's called the North Star metric. Have you heard of that?
That rings a bell, but I couldn't tell. I could take a stab at it, but
I think the North Star, it's something that all departments of your company, including you as the leader, look to. And it's a measurable metric that you and your entire team review weekly or at least monthly. And it's got to be a number. And it doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be revenue or profit or anything like that, but it has to be a number. Right. So Netflix, for example, their North Star metric is hours watched, or Airbnb is nights rented. Booked, yes. So it's like you have this overall goal, and you set that goal. So you take whatever that number is and you set it, but it's got to be something that all the departments in your company can work together to achieve. And it's actually really good timing for us because we're really defining all of our job roles and creating SOPs and setting key performance indicators for all of our team. That's all great and that's all essential.
Mm-hmm.
But you're almost siloing the different departments of your company, and you need that North Star to look to, that all of you, even though you've got your own KPIs, you've got your own standard operating procedures, you're running as divisions supporting each other, but you're also all working towards the same goal.
Yeah.
And so like for me owning a roofing company, I was just talking over it with my owners, and we're like, well, we're very much a volume-based company, and it's just like our goal is to grow. You can't grow without revenue and profit, and so it's hard to get away from just a revenue-based goal. But we kind of landed on like, well, what would also encourage the crew to give them a marker to hit, and we're kind of leaning towards just doing a square feet installed per week sort of thing, and then that would. If they had a marker they had to hit, our sales team would then have a know that if they don't hit that marker as well and sell that amount of square footage,
then the other teams,
so it kind of encourages everybody in all the different departments, and then the operations needs to support both to create the efficiencies in order to hit that bigger number. And I don't know. I think when because it's so easily in leadership to get just pulled in a million different ways.
Yeah.
And this, to me, the more I looked into this concept of having that metric number that is like, the number can change, and it should change. Hopefully it grows. Hopefully you're getting more work done or generating more revenue or dealing with more contracts, more customers, because that's showing you're growing, right? So what we're trying to do is figure out what that number is, and therefore
build the rest around it.
Yeah, but find something that is encouraging to everybody, and something that I, as a leader, will look at that number every week and be like, how am I supporting everybody? Or how am I creating a strategic plan? How am I creating expansion opportunities? How am I growing that number? And what we found when we were talking about it as an ownership group is the minute we landed on the square footage thing, one of the partners is just like, well, what about this area that we've been doing? That wouldn't help contribute to that at all. And we were like, well, then should it? And it's like the light bulbs all go off. It's just like, oh, well, let's talk this through then. And we had this big conversation about doing certain types of work, and we're like, oh, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe that type of work has just been a big distraction, taking away from the efficiency of our crews and everything. So I don't know. That's from what I've understood of it, the North Star metric. So what do you think of?
I like that, because I think one of the real challenges of being a business owner, business leader, is complexity. Getting lost in the mountain of stuff that needs to be done and all of the things to keep track of. And we're expected as business owners to somehow stay on top of it.
Yeah.
And there's especially when you're small and you got to wear multiple hats, then there's such a huge variety of things to keep track of too. And so I think every way that you can make things simple is a win. And so something like a North Star metric, where it's like, okay, don't have 22 KPIs. You're going to get lost, and it's going to work against you. But if you can get something simple like that, man, it gives you something really easy to measure against. Like now, if you do, like we've got X number of square feet we want to hit per week or something, then anything that comes across as an opportunity throughout the week or month, you can measure against that and say, will this help us get more square footage? Yes, no.
Yeah.
Like, and not that that's the only metric that you should have, but simplicity, man, is so valuable. It's powerful.
Well, even going back to like Netflix's hours watched, it's like 2 words. And sure, there's a million other things that need to happen to make that goal grow, but the goal itself just needs to be simple. And then you, like you said, you have all your other KPIs that you set for all your other departments, so that you're working towards the same goal. The other, and taking a step further, for me personally, I know my biggest distractions, because I use ChatGPT a lot. And during this conversation, I asked it, I was like, Chat, how am I getting distracted too easily? And right away, it's just like, oh, you dive into every situation too much, and your team leans on you for small fires that should never even come to you. And it's just like, as soon as it says it to it, I relate to it. I'm like, yeah, I do that, and I hate that, and it stresses me out. It's one of my least favorite parts of my job. Mm-hmm. And the reason I'm still dealing with those is because we haven't ironed out our job descriptions to a T yet. We're working on them as we speak. Mm-hmm. I would argue one of the biggest things is not having clearly defined job roles can cause a huge amount of distractions to you as the leader. So I know what it has for me.
It's interesting because, again, it comes back to clarity. Mm-hmm. Like, I think in every way, clarity reduces distractions. Yeah. Distractions creep in when there aren't clear priorities. Mm-hmm. And so if you're distracted a lot, I would definitely argue that you're probably unclear about what's important.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you're clear, then you can have the numbers and the KPIs to hold accountability. Because that's the biggest thing I don't have, is because we all kind of know whose job is whose, but it's not clearly defined, and therefore we can't hold when something comes up and we're all like, well, isn't that is supposed to be that person's job, but because it's not written down and it's not clear, then I can't hold that person accountable because it's not clearly in their job description.
Yeah. Like, well, one of the things that's been really helpful for me over the last little while, and I think I mentioned this before, but I've started doing on Monday mornings, I do this weekly planning call with some other business owners, and I map out for the week, like, what are my key priorities? By Friday, I want to have accomplished this, and this, and I've got to narrow it down to 3 things. Like, it can't be 7. It has to be 3 things.
3 wins.
3 big wins. And so, man, that's been incredibly helpful because I keep it open on my desk a lot of the time. And so I'll sit down at the desk and I'll get an email about something. I'll come into the office on a Tuesday morning and I open my email and I see this thing that's like, oh, a fire. I got to put that out. And then I go to start typing and I look down at the desk and I see my weekly planner sitting there and I see my top 3 priorities. And it's like, this has got to get out. And I go, actually, that's a way bigger deal than this fire.
Yeah.
And I'll shift gears and I'll tackle that. And it's like, I couldn't have done that if I didn't have those priorities identified and sitting visibly written.
Yeah.
Like, where I'm going to see it.
How big can those wins? Are you big, small? Like, is it a win so simple as like do an interview? Or
totally depends on the week. Like,
customer.
So some weeks, like, my top 3 are, it could be something as simple as have a meeting with a specific person. Sometimes it's get out a proposal for a project that would change everything for us. No matter what it is, it doesn't really matter. If you can identify these are the most important things, then when anything else comes up, you've got something to measure against.
Yeah.
And you can see, okay, this is a distraction.
Yeah.
Because if I do that, then I'm not doing this. And this is what needs to actually happen.
Man, that's hard to do though.
Oh yeah.
It's like, because all the fires, like every little circumstance that everybody in our company deals with, I don't know if you have the same thing, but almost all of them call me and they're like, this just happened. And it's like, I've told this on the story on the podcast before too. It's just like dump trailer going down the road. The axle snapped and they were full load of shingles going down the highway in Nanaimo.
Yeah.
And that's epic. That sucks. But honestly, what am I supposed to do about it up in Prince George?
Yeah.
Like I'm 800 kilometers away. I get why it called me. It's a big deal that it happened, but should I really have got that phone call? Because all it did was stress me right out. Because I'm like, oh, my crews aren't being efficient. Oh, this is terrible. And he's all stressed out and I'm all stressed out and I feel bad for him. But ultimately, like, I can't do anything about it. So I asked him, like, what are you going to do? And he already had a plan to figure it out. He's got a tow truck coming or whatever. But it's just like, he just outright distracted me he put a big effect on my day dealing with stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's not just that. It's like client disputes, tight deadlines on things. I've even had like a crew is just missing an item and they phone me and they're like, hey, we need this. Where are they not there? Can you run this to us? It's like, no. I got other things to do. Focusing on.
Yeah. So it is like, it's all clarity stuff. Like clarity for you about what's important, but then also clarity for your team about who deals with what. And the way to eliminate distractions is clarity. It's just increase the clarity. If it's not for you, it's for somebody else. They obviously weren't clear on who to go to with something like that if they're calling you.
Yeah.
And same thing internally. Like I often find I'm sitting down, I'm doing something at my desk and I'll just all of a sudden have this aha moment and I go, I should not be doing this.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
I get that all the time.
But then usually I realize as soon as I'm having that thought, because I'll go, I should not be doing this. And then my brain immediately goes, so what should I be doing? And the fact that I'm asking that question means I didn't have clarity. If I had asked that question at the start of the day, what should I be doing today? And I mapped it out, then I probably would have seen that thing coming and not engaged in it in the first place.
Yeah.
But now I'm doing it retroactively after I've been distracted and I've realized I'm doing something that's a waste of time. Then I'm asking the question, what should I be doing?
Yeah.
And if we can get ahead of the game and ask those questions first and map it out, write it down. For me, writing it down is a big deal. If I can see it, especially if it's sitting on my desk where I'll see it even when I'm not trying to remind myself to see it, that helps so much. Because we all get lost in the stuff that we're doing and having that visual reminder right in front of you, go, okay, go back to that. Okay, go back to that. Oh yeah, we got to go back to that. Like,
that's good.
Really helps.
Yeah, I live off my phone's calendar for everything. And the nice thing about that is people can schedule it for me too. But one thing I know I need to be better at, just like you were saying, I need to have more of a strategic finite plan right in front of me for what I'm doing that day and week. I love the 3 win things that week, the 3 things that you need to accomplish.
Yeah.
Like that's a big deal. But one thing that was also really, to go along with all this, one thing that was really recommended to me was to take minimum 20% of my work week and block it out and tell my entire staff, this is my focus. I'm taking this time to focus on strategic planning or whatever it is. Explain to them why, but be like, don't contact me, or I'm going to be off my phone.
Yeah.
Because I need to, this is intentional time for planning and focus on bigger things. I'm going to be off my phone.
Yeah. And that was the second thing that I was thinking about in regards to conquering distractions. Number one is clarity. But the second thing is your setting, your context, your environment. And I've found, like, especially when I need to focus on something, because even when I'm clear about what I want to work on, stuff still hits you. Like, I'm in my office and I hear people talking outside the door, or somebody knocks and wants to ask me a question, or my phone rings, or whatever it is. Or even if there's nobody else around, I'll be sitting at my desk working on something, and out of the corner of my eye, I'll see a piece of paper that is on the corner of my desk that I had forgotten about, that has a note that says, don't forget to do such and such. And I'm like, oh, that should have been done 2 weeks ago, or something. Like, you get hit by these things that pull you out of whatever you're focusing on and divert your attention into other things. And I've realized, because I had the same recommendation, like block out focus time in a week. Decide some priority things that need to happen in that time and say, don't contact me, turn the phone off, whatever.
Yeah.
But I found pretty much unless I leave the office, it's a waste of time.
I was going to ask you, like, what setting do you need to intentionally create for yourself so that you can take that time to just focus with no distractions?
Yeah. And I think it's different for different people.
And probably depends also what you're trying to focus on.
Yes. Because sometimes focusing on something might mean having a conversation with somebody else.
Yeah.
Like for me, this is focus time on distractions. This is like, I'm focused right now. I'm not thinking about what my employees are doing. I'm not thinking about what other things I have on the calendar for today. Like this conversation is all that I'm seeing. And so even focus time doesn't need to be like I'm by myself in a closet and there's no sound or something. It's about optimizing your environment to make the most of whatever needs your attention. And so for some things, for me, I just leave work and I go to a coffee shop. And because actually too much silence can almost be unhelpful for me, like if it's too quiet. And so I like being in a space with people, but I need to be in a space where I have zero responsibilities. And so if I go to a coffee shop, doesn't matter that there's lots of stuff going on around me. Nobody there is expecting anything of me.
So you can't go home because the honey-do list is waiting there for you?
Home is a disaster. Like I can't. It's a hopeless place almost for me to work because I see stuff.
Yeah.
Even if nobody asks anything of me, I hear the kids through the wall, or I see stuff, dirt on the floor that I want to sweep up, or whatever. I just get distracted by dumb little things. And so if I go to the coffee shop, I know if I were to pick up a broom and start sweeping, people would look at me funny. And so I just I can eliminate all thoughts of any expectation to do anything other than what I went there to do. And I can be super productive. Other people, a coffee shop would be a hopeless place for them to work. They couldn't handle it. They would be distracted by the noise and whatever. So it depends on your personal wiring.
Yeah.
But I think everybody needs to think through, especially for those critical things that really need focus, what can I do to optimize my environment to eliminate distractions? And so identifying, like, what are the things that often trip me up? Like if I'm setting time aside every week and saying, okay, I'm going to focus on strategic planning every Friday afternoon. Yeah. And for the last 6 Friday afternoons, it's gone terribly. Okay, like make a list of like, what were the things that distracted me? And if it's other people in the office or phone calls, get out of the office, turn off your phone.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to clarity. It's like everything is clarity. You got to know what your goal is. You got to know what's blocking you, and then you can turn it off. You can overcome those things, but it takes some intentionality. It takes some attention.
Yeah, I was just about to say the word intention. You got to be intentional about setting a time aside and be aware that distractions are coming for you and are going to try and bog down your day. Mm-hmm. Set yourself up in an environment where you're good to go. And also, like, we're able to focus right now because both of our phones are on silent. And it's pretty nice, I'm not going to lie. So we can just have an uninterrupted conversation. Mm-hmm. And little steps like that, they go a long ways.
Yeah.
Because the world is always trying to get at us, or our workers, partners, and a lot of it's good stuff. And that's actually something I've recognized even since I started recording in here. It's almost peaceful to come in here and do a recording because even if people want to get a hold of me, they can't. Mm-hmm. And I just get to sit, have a conversation, focus on the conversation, and nothing from the outside world can even get to me right now. Unless it's an absolute emergency. People know how to kick down the door. But overall, it's a great environment where we get to sit and focus and have a good conversation. It's one of the reasons why I enjoy these podcasts so much.
Yeah. And I think a good thing to acknowledge too is just we live in a real world, we're real people. And so like all this conversation about optimizing and maximizing and whatever, it's like, okay, but there are things that you can't see coming and you're not going to get perfect. But so it's not about hitting this like perfect ideal of I've eliminated all the distractions from my life, but thinking about it, being intentional, and especially in the really important areas, finding a way to eliminate that stuff. Like you don't get away with it if you're out on a date with your wife and you're checking work emails on your phone and reading LinkedIn while you're sitting across the table from each other. It's like, even if she doesn't smack you, you're paying a price for that.
Yeah.
And that's an area that's super important. Like give attention to that. Like make the extra effort to eliminate distractions in that area. If you get distracted with something at work that's of lower priority, like, okay, give yourself some slack.
Yeah.
But identifying like these are the things that really matter.
It's hard. It's much easier said than done, but yeah.
Yeah. And I think remembering too that we're not machines. Like I think sometimes in the business world we can treat ourselves that way. Like if we could just tweak ourselves here and here and here, we would eliminate all the imperfections and we'd be this like perfectly well-oiled machine, as if somehow life was all about maximizing productivity and that kind of thing. No, there's more to it than that, but it's still, even if it's not about productivity, there's still the importance of eliminating distractions. Like going back to what we were saying before, like you could be on vacation and work could be a distraction. It's living a joyful life actually requires eliminating distractions.
Yeah.
And so I was even thinking about this before, like prioritizing in the business world. It's like you can get into this trap of thinking all about operational efficiencies and KPIs and whatever. And then this morning, I spent some time washing my truck with my son. And it was one of those things where it's like, this kind of feels like a waste of time. Like, this is not improving the efficiency of my business. The truck wasn't like super dirty where it was going to embarrass our branding or something. But you know what? I really enjoy a clean truck.
Yeah.
Like I just feel good driving in a clean truck. And so just remembering that in the midst of all of this thought about optimizing and eliminating distractions and all of those things, we're also human.
Yeah.
And we're each different. And life is about more than having an optimized business. And these little things that add joy or peace to our lives are actually really valuable.
I think peace is a very important component because like part of what you're doing by cleaning your truck, they're setting your environment so that you're, you have
that's true actually, because a dirty truck
does have a purpose.
Is a distraction to me.
Yeah.
Like when my truck is dirty, every time I get in it, I'm like, I
feel you there. Just much more enjoyment in my life when my spaces are clean, and so I think that's not a bad way to spend your morning at all. And spending time with your son, that's always a very important part too. But the peace component, like if for me personally, when it comes to distractions, that takes away my peace and just creates stress.
Yeah.
When I'm not able to focus or be working towards something and things just keep spitting out at me. And I think our phones and emails make things just so much worse.
Yeah.
Because it's just like when things just pop up or I just get a notification, and I've got it even worse because they show up on my watch.
Yeah.
And it's just like, sure, it is distracting, but ultimately it just causes you stress because now you're not actually working towards your goals. You're just putting out fires and also recognize you're taking on everybody else's stress who's bringing stuff to you that shouldn't even be brought to you in the first place, which is something I'm dealing with that maybe not everybody is, but I do recognize in my life I need to work on eliminating that. And it was actually kind of funny because when I first got this watch, when we were first starting the podcast, the first few episodes went out for editing, and they sent them back to us for review. And Kenton's criticized. He's like, dude, when you get a notification, don't look at your watch. You're making everybody think that you don't want to be here by constantly checking your notifications, because just habit.
Yeah.
You know, phone silenced, notification still shows up here. And you have to program your brain to just be like, yeah, no, it's fine. I don't need to look at that. It can wait till later.
Yeah.
So.
And this reminds me of something that has been really helpful for me in thinking about distractions. Like not in, it's not something that directly has helped me overcome distractions, but maybe it has. It's increased my awareness of the cost of distractions. And that's a principle that they call switching cost, which is every time you switch activities. So say you're building an estimate for a customer and you get a phone call that's about a material order for something totally different. And so you take that call and you're mentally, you switch into the space where you're thinking about inventory and shipping times and how that's going to impact the customer and whatever. And then you hang up the phone and then you got to switch back into estimating and go, okay, where was I at? How did I get that number? I should check the math on that. I can't remember if I finished what I was doing or if I stopped partway through. That's switching cost. And so basically it's this principle that every time you switch activities, there's lost time.
Yeah.
So even if you work for a full hour, and these are rough numbers, because obviously it depends on the person, depends on what the tasks are. But in general, the principle is that if you work for a full hour straight, like focused on one thing, uninterrupted, and then you work for a full hour on 4 different activities where you're switching from one to the next, that in general, you'll lose about 15 minutes within that hour on switching cost.
Really? Is that high?
It's so obviously it depends on what kinds of activities you're doing and personality wise, how your brain works, those kinds of things. But the point is not the number. The point is it's significant. Even if it was only you lost 10% or something, 10% is a big number.
Yeah.
And so when a notification comes through and buzzes on your watch and you go, oh yeah, my wife wants me to pick up potatoes on the way home or something, and your brain switches into, oh, okay, that means on the way home I need to drive this different way so that I go to the store. Okay, I got to remember that when I get into the truck at the end of the day. Am I going to remember? Should I set a notification? Well, whatever. All of a sudden, not only have you missed maybe a bunch of the conversation that you were just having, but also then you've interrupted the flow, your thought flow.
Yeah.
And where that train of thoughts was going now you've got to like get that train back on the track, and your thoughts are less connected. And so the train is slowed down and now it's got to get up to speed again.
Yeah.
And so distractions aren't just things that knock you off of your priorities, but they're also things that make you less efficient even when you are working on your priorities. Because if you spend an hour and you're mostly working on a priority activity and you got interrupted 5 times in that hour by only 1-minute things, now you might have only had 40 minutes of actual productive time worth of stuff accomplished. And so
it really kills your efficiency.
And so
your brain power.
For me, that was helpful because I think often those little things feel really insignificant. And you go, oh yeah, I'm back in. I only lost 6 seconds. But actually you probably lost 30 in terms of momentum.
And you're probably
that dropped off,
drained.
and now you got to rebuild.
You're probably going to be more drained at the end of the day because you were constantly switching too. So it's probably got more of a long-term effect. It actually reminds me of it. Like we just made a change up in our administration here because my main administrator, we'll say, she was handling our phones.
Yeah.
And she is also my bookkeeper, in-house bookkeeper, and is responsible for financial reporting and some HR, employee contracts, all that kind of stuff. And we were at a point where it was just like, I need you to get these things done. Like I need financial reporting, more live time and everything. And there so often she'd be like, oh, the phone was so busy today. It's just like, okay. So we actually just made the switch and we hired somebody who's an inside sales associate or client relation individual. And it's funny because we took the phones away from that other individual. Mm-hmm. And my administrator is now like taking over so much HR stuff. She's handling our hiring. Her capacity is radically increased, but also because she's not getting distracted by the phone anymore. Mm-hmm. But the side benefit of that is now because I have a person answering the phones aren't being distracted by financial reporting or anything like that. So the quality of our customer service through our phones is sky high. Mm-hmm. So, because that person is now just able to focus on the phone and not have the distractions or the to-do list on the desk of everything else that they need to accomplish.
Yeah, that's good.
It's very relevant to what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think that's a really big piece of, like, there's the clarifying job roles, clarifying what the objectives are, what's important. Mm-hmm. But then also, like what you're talking about is simplifying. Mm-hmm. So taking a situation where you had a person that was wearing multiple hats.
Yeah, too many hats.
And actually simplifying, narrowing their scope, mm-hmm. so that you've got somebody who's now, rather than doing HR and customer service, they're HR, mm-hmm. and finance. And the person who's doing customer service is now just doing customer service. Yeah. And so that simplification also eliminates a ton of distractions. Like if your goal, and I think this is why that 3 goals for the week works for me, is because in reality, for this 6-month period in our business, I have like 65 goals. And I don't have those written down. I don't actually know that that's the number, but I have a ton of things on my plate, stuff we want to deal with. And so if I just work with that list, my list of 65 or whatever it is, then it's almost impossible for me to say what's a distraction and what's not. Because almost everything that could come across my desk in a day somehow relates to one of those 65. And so it'd be easy for me to say, well, yeah, of course this is important. It's on one of my goals for this half of the year. But when I narrow it down to, like, I make a decision on a Monday that this week is about these 3.
Do you have a process for doing that? Like, how do you choose the 3 out of the 65?
The way that I select my top 3 is, which 3 things do I believe are going to make the biggest difference for our business? And there's more that I could think about for sure.
That's a pretty good starting point, though.
It's simple. So I like it. But otherwise, again, like if everything's a priority, nothing is. Yeah. And it's easy to think that way. It's all important. It's all important, of course. Yeah. And that's how I've operated for a lot of my life. And it's basically whatever shows up in front of me is what gets my attention. And now I'm training myself out of that to proactively make the decisions.
Well, that's a natural way of doing
before it comes. Yeah.
Like we all, like, you grow up just dealing with things as they come to you, and then learning to prioritize and plan strategically to rid distractions, and then training your mind that when something comes up to just say no. It's like, no, not right now.
Another principle that's been really helpful for me, and I can't remember where I got it. It was in a book that I read. at some point. But the thing that this author encouraged is he said, make the decision that will eliminate 1,000 other decisions. And so, for example, this was at the time in my life when I was reading this book. This is going to sound stupid, but at the time in my life when I was reading this book, I would get up in the mornings and I would go into the kitchen and I would make myself a cup of tea, and then I would sit down and have some time to pray before I launched into my day. And the one day I had just read this chapter and this principle, and I woke up in the morning and I went into the kitchen and I turned the water on to boil and I opened the cupboard where all of our tea is. And then all of a sudden, it was like I woke up and I was like, Joel, you've been standing in front of this tea cupboard for like 3 minutes trying to decide which tea you're going to drink. And it was like, what a stupid waste of time. And I suddenly, I'm looking at the tea cabinet and all these different, because we like to host. So we made sure we have lots of different types of tea. And I looked at them and I was debating between 3 different teas. And I was like, if it's such a hard decision, that means all 3 are really good.
Yeah.
I obviously really like all 3. And so does it matter if I choose the one that I like 95% instead of the one that I like 97%?
Yeah.
Is that matter?
Yeah.
And so what I did is I decided in that moment, because I had this principle fresh in my mind, I picked a tea and I said, I'm drinking this one till it's gone.
Oh,
I'm not
choosing the decision altogether.
I'm not choosing anymore. So for the next, it was a huge thing of tea. So for the next 3 months, when I woke up in the morning, I didn't waste any time. I went in the kitchen, got the tea out, made my cup of tea, and off I went. And it eliminated that, call it a stressor. It's a stupid little thing, but the principle stands true for other things. If you know, these are my priorities for the day. Here's how I'm going to organize my morning. Then you don't have to go into the office at the start of the day and go, man, what do I do first? I got this and I get this and I get this. Just say, I always start with this.
Yeah.
And maybe that doesn't work for you in your context, but the principle is find decisions that you can make that will eliminate 1,000 others, so you can get rid of the stress and the distraction of stressful decision making.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's a huge bottleneck for us is just wasting our time kind of standing in front of the tea cupboard going, do I drink this one or this one? They're both good. Okay,
but also,
get rid of that.
Going on top of that, yes, the time you spend making decisions can be a distraction, but decisions in and of themselves are distractions, or at least it can be when you have too many of them, because decision fatigue is a real thing.
It absolutely is.
I don't know if you've ever done you've built a house, so that's got to be the same thing, because when we gutted our house and renovated it, my brain by the end of it, from just making decisions all day, picking products, laying out design, where do you want everything, by the end of a couple hour session with our contractor on just making decisions, my brain was fried.
Yeah.
It just getting rid of decisions, because like I said, I genuinely believe too many decisions is a distraction.
Yeah.
So what's the main, as we wrap up this episode, what's the main thing to take away, would you say, on preventing distractions?
There's kind of 3 things we've hit on.
Yeah.
First one for sure is clarity. You got to know where you're going, what you want to accomplish, what's important. When those things are clear, then it really, because like I said at the beginning, my definition of distractions is anything that takes you off track. So you got to know where the track is. You got to know what's the track, where's it going.
Yeah.
Then it's easy to see, okay, this is going this way, so it's obviously not. So clarity is one. I think that second thing of when you know what to focus on, thinking about your context, your environment, optimizing that. Yeah. If you need to put your phone in a drawer, or you need to leave the office and go to a coffee shop, or put your headphones in, or whatever it is for each person, finding that optimum. And then the third thing was simplicity, like simplifying the number of decisions that you're making in a day, simplifying the number of things that a person's responsible for. Like when you can narrow the scope, then distractions become more obvious.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just something that each person needs to think through.
Mm-hmm.
And
based on their own what their
situation.
And even taking a step further, like simplifying your goals. Like in what you're working towards. Like, and I really like what you said earlier about only having a few wins. Like 3 wins or 3 goals a week, that's over 150 a year. You can't tell me your organization's not going somewhere with that many goals being achieved. So
yeah, and the fewer you have, the more likely you are to achieve them. Like if I had 7 in a week, I'd probably get 2 done. But if I got 3 in a week, I get all 3 done, and usually an extra 2. So it really makes a difference.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this one up. We thank you guys for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.